Hey folks, welcome back to DCS. In the last video that I uploaded, I talked about spending a bit more time on the Cold War server, and the aim being to try and give you regular uploads covering topics like dogfighting with the F-5, the MiG-19, etc. Well, here's like the first installment of that. These first two clips are just random missile clips that I got. I'm going to use on-screen annotations to point out where stuff is, because I know that YouTube compression's probably going to make it, like, you're probably going to only see the splashes. And then I'm going to talk you through these dogfights. I was hoping that I'd be able to just use this footage with the live audio, because I was talking to the GCI and he was directing me, and it actually went pretty well, but for some reason it didn't record my microphone. So I'm going to try and fill the blanks with the commentary. So on Enigma, which is the server that I'm on, there is an overlord bot which basically you can ask it questions and it directs you towards certain things, but it can't see helicopters. So I was using a guy basically acting as the GCI, ground control intercept, this guy looking at all the radar call-outs and then directing me and the rest of the team to where stuff was. He directed me and another F5 to intercept these two Hinds, and I think I get credited with both kills, even though I barely touched this next one. My gunnery really needs more work, but I am getting there. And I know before anyone tells me that there is a radar gun sight feature on the F5. I've tried it, but I'm not having the best luck with it. I think it's very situational. Most of the time people are sort of wobbling around too much so that it doesn't update fast enough for my purposes, and I feel like I can eyeball it better than using that. Hinds both go down, and a Mirage is on its way in. My F5 friend is Winchester, so he bugs out. So I'm left to fend for myself. Because I'm so close to the front line right now, and the Mirages get some pretty scary missiles, the Matra 530Es, these just fucking fat as shit IR missiles that I seem to never be able to actually avoid being killed by. I'm going cold just to give myself some separation, just to get away from the front line in case he drags me back to some SAM assets or something, because nothing's more annoying than being killed by AI SAMs mid-dogfight. Like, being third-partied by players is annoying enough as it is, but when it's third-partied by a fucking AI, holy shit, it pisses me off. But anyway, so because of the fat missiles on the Mirage, and because I suck at being avoiding them, I'm basically going cold, and what little terrain there is to mask behind, I'm trying to use to stay low, just to stop him from spotting me, so that I can sneak around and maybe get the drop on him a little bit. At this point, I definitely feel like my ability to spot stuff is not as good as other people's, because I only recently reduced my resolution to 1080p. Before that I could literally not see anyone on the server. That's why I've not done many videos on it, because I just felt like a blind person. And I still feel like I'm sort of easing myself in a little bit, but I was quite impressed by how this panned out. So I did plan on him appearing at my 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock as I come around this hill, which is exactly what happens. I will add on-screen annotation so you can actually see what I'm talking about. He does get a missile off, but thankfully I'm able to not die to it for once. And because we were so close when we merged, I feel like the F5 has the advantage of the Mirage F1. In a straight line it's much faster, it's got a much more powerful engine, but in a turn fight, if he sticks the fight, he's basically fucked. I'm extremely slow right now. He has a bit of an upper hand if he plays it right, but I uncage my Sidewinder Seeker right here, so it's actually locked on him despite me not being nose on. And it means that I don't quite have to pull the nose up all the way, so I'm just pulling enough to get a good lead, and then I managed to splash him, which was pretty satisfying.
Was that a hit?
And I like the little chortle from the GCI. I was tracking this Mirage F1, but he's gone behind his lines, so I'm at risk if I push in, and I do actually get engaged by some SAMs. I don't know what B is on the RWR, but that's what's shot at me. And I do see the missiles coming at me without the GCI's assistance, but when it comes to knowing how far they can reach and what I should do to avoid them, I think that the second one would have probably killed him if he hadn't told me to break again, because I was thinking I was way out of range of it by now. It just splashes behind me and I get away with it. So same technique as the last Mirage F1 to deal with this one. Obviously I don't want to get third-partied by AI again, so I'm going cold to get away from his SAM cover, and then I'm going to use the tiny weeny little bits of terrain masking to force him to get closer to me, so that I can be literally at the merge when he has to fire missiles on me, because it gives me a much better chance of survival if he doesn't have a bit of standoff range when he fires them. If the motor's still burning when it hits me, then there's no hope. So I'm looping around now. He has fired, but for some reason it doesn't seem to track. And there he goes. So he's carrying a shitload of speed, so I just pull into him, pull it one circle, and then he's going so fast that he's actually going around the outside of me again, so I pre-turn into him. He seems to depart flight briefly and then decide to reverse into the one circle. So he's bled off quite a bit of speed here. I'm very slow as well, but I feel like the F5 seems to handle better at low speed than the F1. Probably going to make the F1 my next purchase just so I can see what it's like for myself. He just ditched his tank, so the fact that he was weighed down by that probably wasn't helping him. I'm trying not to pull too hard so that I don't just fall out of the sky, but I also do want to pull him into the hood so I can get a missile shot off, which I manage. Claps him in the face, and I quite like the Mirage F1's damage model for a DCS aircraft. Usually I think that hitting stuff is pretty unsatisfying, but clipping his wing off and his rudder, and there was no ridiculous fire that was floating 5 feet away from his actual plane, so that actually looked a lot better than when they turn into a fireball, in my opinion.
3,000 to 700.
So there was another Mirage F1 there as well, but I just bugged out and ran away. And then this is the last clip of the video, so at the minute I'm extremely low on fuel and quite a long way from home. Not sure if this MiG actually knew that I was there, but I chased him down. So I basically was getting killed, greedy for kills at this point, to my detriment. So I need to find and plot a way back through their SAM cover, because I've gone like, I don't know, 3 or 4 sectors into their lines at this point, which is obviously stupid. And here I've noticed that my fuel balance is like way off, so my left tank is basically empty, and the right tank looks like it's barely being used, so I'm not sure why or how that occurred. I'm going to try and figure out on the fly how to fix it with no genuine knowledge of how the fuel balancing system works, whilst also potentially being at risk of people running me down, which is not ideal. So we've got MiG-21 within 40 nautical miles. So I'm slightly worried about being intercepted by him. So I'm having to sort of manage my fuel, my throttle, and my altitude to make it last and to not go so slow that I'm a sitting duck. In the startup sequence, you have to activate boost pumps on the F5. There's a left one and a right one, and in the past I've forgotten to do this, and it basically results in a lack of thrust. So my thinking here is that if I turn off the left boost pump, it should stop, or at least reduce massively, the left tank from being used to draw fuel from, and then just prioritize the right tank, because the left tank is literally like on fumes right now. So we get a call out, 1 mile, look behind me and there's a missile coming my way, so just shit flares everywhere, and thankfully managed to not die, which is, you know, rare for me. And then this is the first proper dogfight I got into, so the MiG-21 immediately overshot. So I pull pretty hard to try and force him to turn in front of me, which he does multiple times. And I'm thinking I need to get him slow, because I've seen how wobbly the MiG-21 is, and I figure that I have a better controllability at low speed, basically. So he has a massive thrust advantage. But if he sticks the fight, if he keeps turning with me, then I feel like I have an advantage. But I don't want to get so slow that I just fall out of the sky. And I also don't want to use my engine thrust to its maximum too much, because I'm overly conscious of having basically no fuel. Well, I assume I have no fuel. What I've just done might actually mean that the right tank is completely getting used and I don't have to worry, but I am worrying because I don't know for sure.
Bullet 3-4 are on this frequency.
And I'm also getting callouts for another MiG coming in that's 15 miles away. And obviously, I've used my missiles. If another one comes along, I'm basically fucked. It's going to be a 2-on-1 fight. I've only got guns, and I think anyway, running on fumes. So everything is massively stacked against me right now. And I don't really know how to use the guns very well. I actually did clip him there, so I've got some idea of how much lead I need to give, but there's so much scatter on these guns, and they seem to do so little damage. I'm using combat mix, if anyone's interested. I don't know if using the high explosive only is better, but I think I'm going to try that next time. Managing my closure here to try not to overshoot, but he slowed down so fast. But then I hit him at least twice directly down his engine spout, so surely the guns aren't so shit that he can just shrug that off and keep flying. But that seems to be the case, rather depressingly. Here I'm thinking I'm going to go into a raid because I must have damaged his plane enough that that's the better option right now. I don't want to turn across his nose in case he gets a lucky snapshot off. And then as I come around, the second MiG-21 turns up. How this guy managed to enter this fight in a way that didn't just give him a free missile kill, I will never know, but I'm not going to complain about it. He seems a lot more aggressive. He actually does fire his gun as he goes over me there. And we're both, or all three of us, extremely slow. I'm obviously trying to focus the guy that I haven't shot already because I assume that the original guy is going to deck it with the hits that I've put into him. Or at least that's my hope. I should have probably gone around to the right rather than turning left after him just to try and get eyes on the original guy, but my experience in DCS is that if you dare to look away from the one guy that you can definitely see, you'll never see him again. So if I didn't spot the other guy, I'd be blind to both of them. But then as I come around, I basically take a R16 head on. And that's the end of me. So, unfortunate end, but I feel like I'm getting there. I am enjoying it now. So if you want to follow me on this journey to competency, which might take forever, hit like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.